today we just thought we'd do a little recap video about halfway, how we're feeling, a bit of expectations for the rest of it. So let's go.
Welcome to our halfway video. We finally got halfway. So yeah.
Good job.
So we cycled around 962 kilometers.
That's a bit less than what we expected, because I think in our first video we put like 2,300 kilometers total predicted, and halfway that would be around 1,100. But because we had some rough days where we decided to take the train, it ended up being a bit less, which is fine. I still think 900 is a really good amount to do for a bike tour in 1 month.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah, because I think back home, well, I don't know how much you were doing.
None.
Well, none. There you go. So
my most cycle was probably 20, maybe 25.
Yeah, so we've gone from 20 kilometers to 90 kilometers in 1 day. So,
but Chris has been doing a lot before we left. Like, he would cycle to work every day. He would do 100k rides around. But
not with bags. So it's a huge difference.
The bike bags make a big difference.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a whole new ball game, really. Like, you're still riding, but you've got a lot more slowness to you. Headwinds are worse. Hills are worse. Like, everything's worse. But it's all part of the fun. It's all part of the journey and what we're learning.
Yeah.
All right. So our first topic is our worst day each. So my worst day is pretty obvious if you've been watching the videos. It's probably stage 2. Because stage 1 we took a train. And that was fine. The train was nice. We rode 5 kilometers from London to London Paddington and then went to Reading. And then stage 2, 10 kilometers in, I popped my tire after Carly goes, "Have you ever popped a tire before?" And so yeah, I popped my first tire in England, and the tire was so tough to get off. I've changed multiple tires before. This one, the tire was actually cut and the tube was popped, so I actually had to get a new tire. And when I bought a new tire, it was a gator skin tire, and for those who don't know, gator skins are like notoriously known for being tough to get onto bikes. I spent an hour trying to get the wheel onto the bike, the tire onto the bike. Didn't work. Even tried to get the mechanic at Evans Cycling. So shout out to Evans Cycling Reading. They were amazing. He tried to get it on. He couldn't. We had to size up the tire and finally got it on. And by this point it was like 3:30 and we hadn't even left Reading. So we had to catch a train, and that just has traumatized me ever since, just because it was just a tough day. A tough introduction to bike touring, because that was our, I guess, first proper day bike touring, and it did not go as planned. What was your worst day?
I think for me, my worst day, I don't remember where we were going to or from. Maybe you can help me remember. But I remember the hills, the day that we had those 3 really steep hills.
Yeah. And
the downhills, because it was raining.
Yeah.
So for me, going up, I was dying. I had to walk up each of those hills. And then, we had like 13% gradient.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So that was a challenge. Like, literally had to put all my body force to push the bike up the hill. Yeah. And then we couldn't even relax on the downhills because it was so rainy and wet and windy that I just felt like I had to hold on to my brakes, gripping them so tight. My knuckles were hurting. And going down the whole hill, I was just scared. Yeah. I was so scared I was going to fall off the bike or slip or something.
I want to say that was stage like 13. Yeah, that was Rochdale, so north of Manchester to Leeds, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was that day. Yeah, it
something was in like the country town. The day when we had our steepest climb ever.
I think the steepest climb was Rippendale. Like, the actual town itself was called Rippendale. So that's between Rochdale and Leeds, I believe.
Yeah, those were so steep.
Yeah, it's like when you're climbing up the hill, like when you're walking up the hill, the back of your heel couldn't even like touch the bottom of the ground because it was like that high of a gradient. And there was 2 of those. And then there was just another 8% gradient.
That was for like 3 kilometers long.
4 kilometers.
I was struggling.
Yeah, that was a fun day. It was a really scenic ride. It was just a really hard ride. Yeah. So our favorite day each was probably, personally, I really liked, where'd we go? It was quite recent as well. Anik. Newcastle to Biketour. I actually really liked that ride. Weather was like amazing. It was like 80 kilometers long. It was a long day, but it was such a nice ride just because it was so sunny. It wasn't too hilly, I don't think. Or it might have been hilly at the start, but like nothing bad. Like, it was just a beautiful ride. That's why you bike to a type of ride. So yeah, so stress free. It was just such a nice ride. Yeah, so many sheep and so many wildlife. So crazy. And yeah, that was probably my favorite ride.
I'd say for me, my favorite day was when we had to we originally were going to cycle the whole 100 kilometers, but we decided to just do 50, get the train the other half of the way. We booked a train for 2 p.m., but we just flew through it so quickly that we ended up getting there at 12, which just felt really good. It was a nice, relaxing day.
I think if it was our favorite, that was probably our favorite rides. I think for both of us, I'm pretty sure our favorite day was probably Liverpool, going to Anfield.
That was the coolest experience.
Yeah, one of the biggest clubs in the world. The day was full of emotion, like from the get-go. It was crazy. So if you haven't checked out that video, make sure you check it out. That's one of our favorite videos. Documenting everything. So that was really just a cool experience. So yeah, make sure you go check that out.
And we had the best meal that day. That pie was delicious. So if you go to around Anfield, get the pie because it's worth it.
I think it's on the video as well. We filmed it. On game day, it's £4. On weekdays, it's £3. Like, so worth it. You're not missing out there. Well, you are missing out, actually. That's what I should say.
Yeah, you're missing out if you don't get it. We and me just look at each other.
So physical changes. Personally, I think I've probably, I don't know. I'm hoping I've lost fat. I'm hoping I gain muscle. That's ideal. I might be overeating too much in the afternoons and the nights. We kind of do overeat, and I think that's I don't know.
Yeah, I think we feel like we need to fuel up because we really don't eat that much during the day. Like, we just have carbs or like lollies while we're cycling. But I feel like at night we really have a big meal and snacks.
Yeah, lots of snacks. What about your physical?
I think for me,
probably your legs. I think her legs have really.
I feel like I don't notice it as much, but Chris says he notices a difference in my calves just from so many hills that we've been cycling up, and I notice a difference after like a month of going up hills pretty much every day. It's gotten easier. It's not easy, that's for sure, because I still feel the pain when I'm going up a hill, but it's definitely more manageable. But it also hasn't been that long because, I mean, I know a lot of the time they say it takes at least like 6 to 12 weeks to notice any physical changes. So we're still only 6 weeks in, so we're only just at the halfway. So I think we're definitely, if we can feel a difference in our cycling, then the physical change, we're not worried about the physical changes. That if it happens, it happens. So all we care about is getting better at the hills.
That's pretty much
not having to walk. That's probably my goal. I don't want to have to be walking at all. Which I think I do very little now, as long as it's not maybe 10% gradient or more. Then I might have to. But
it's hard. It's hard with all the luggage on the back as well.
So we're just going to talk a little bit about how our mental health has been for the first half of the trip. We've been a bit stressed each, both in our own ways. I'm probably more stressed about finding a place to keep our bikes every night. Just making sure that each hotel has a spot to store the bikes is my biggest fear, and also would have to be mapping, GPS directional issues, because we've had a lot of times where it's told us to go one way, it's told us to go on the main like toll motorway, which we couldn't do, so we had to reroute. It's told us to go along the coast of grass paths, or it's told us to go in the gravel or a thing that says it's a road, it's not a road. So it really is a bit time consuming trying to
get to the right
filter place. The route that we take and make sure it's suitable for us, because we're a bit more cautious of cycling on gravel, bad roads, because we don't want any more issues.
Yeah, that's pretty much what a lot of my mental stress is just like the bike mechanics. More just like breaking parts and being stranded.
Yeah.
I guess the good thing about the UK is that even if you break down in like the middle of nowhere, you're about 15 k's from a train station pretty much at all times.
Yeah.
It's just such a good place to, I guess, break down. If you were to break down somewhere, the UK is the best place to do it. Just because it's so small and so close to everything. So that's been really good in helping with the stress, but the stress is still there. I guess the only other mental thing that's like might affect us or has affected us is loneliness. It's just because you're on the bike 6 to 10 hours a day in the middle of nowhere.
We do have each other, but you don't realize how little people you speak to.
Yeah.
Like an actual conversation. You might interact with others when you buy something or on the street or whatever, or at the hotel when you check in, but you don't really talk to others. We've had a few conversations with people on the road, other people bike touring, or some people will stop us in the street or at the grocery store and ask us what we're doing and that type of thing, which is nice.
Yeah.
But we've also came across a lady bike touring on her own that Chris was speaking to. Yeah,
she already did it for a year. Yeah, she was by herself. And I don't know how she does it because you must get so lonely. It's not something you even think about when you do bike touring. Is well, for us, because we've never done it, and you're only speaking, like Carly said, to each other, or you're listening to music, and then you get to the hotel and you sleep, and then you reset, and then you do the same thing tomorrow. So introvert's dream, I guess, if you are an introvert. But yeah, for the whole time we've been doing it, we've hardly spoken to anyone else. Definitely a different dynamic when there's two people, and then there's definitely a different dynamic when there's only one person. You got no one else, and it's so lonely. So credit to all those people, and hope they all stay strong. All right, so the top 3 pieces of gear each. I think for me, I'll go with my first one.
You say one, then I'll say one. Okay.
I think a rain cover for my bag has been absolutely huge. It might be the same with Carly, but I just find having dry stuff is just like a no-brainer. It's just perfect to have, and it might be something people might overlook. Maybe not going to the UK, but just having in general is just a rain cover for your backpack.
Mine's kind of the same, but a little bit different. Is winter gear, so warm socks and gloves. Those are probably like one of mine, really good, because the shoes I'm wearing are kind of mesh toes, so they get cold easily in the wind or they get wet easily. So I'm wearing the Darn Tough socks, and those keep them pretty warm unless they get absolutely drenched. Yeah. But most of the time they're pretty good, and like fingers getting cold, cycling in the wind, so gloves are definitely a must.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The second thing for me probably is my hex wrench tool, just because it's allowed me to tighten up my bolts. It was like a $10 tool, and it's allowed me to perform so much stuff on the bike, like adjusting to seat height, like I said, tightening my bolts. I'm sure there's other stuff that I've done with it, like the handlebar bolts as well. It's just such a good tool for what it costs. Like the value is invaluable. It's that good.
The second thing for me is probably not necessarily bike related, but power banks. So I brought 3 power banks, one that plugs into the wall to use USBs, but I think there's a few days in a row where I go without even needing a wall socket because I just have so much battery. Overnight I can charge it just on the power bank, and even a few days in a row or while we're cycling and I need to check my phone for directions, I can just plug it in, keep it in my handlebar bag. That's probably been one of the best things. Maybe a bit overkill with 3 power banks.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you charge stuff, plug it in every time we get into a new place where I'm just like...
Yeah, that's the first thing
I just need a power bank and I'm good. I don't need to worry about finding outlets.
Yeah.
Maybe every few days, but not every night.
Yeah. I guess the third thing for me is probably my thermals. I've never used my thermals before because I'm always in Australia where it's hot, and in the UK I probably could have used it earlier, but one day I was just so cold and I was like, oh, I've got to use them, and they are such a huge difference. They just make you enjoy the ride so much more, makes you so much more snug. Even if it's raining, you still feel warm, which is so important. So I really rate my thermals for my legs and my arms.
I'd say maybe third thing for me is my little backpack.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the beginning of the trip, I was traveling around with a bigger backpack, which was great. Great backpack, had all the compartments, little bits to fit all my stuff. But for cycling, it was obvious that we couldn't fit everything into the bike bags, and I did not want to be cycling every day with that big backpack stuffed. So we found this little packable backpack from Decathlon that was great. Like, I've been using it. I can just carry a water bottle. I can pack it away. We get groceries with it. We did bring a little packing bag in the beginning, but we lost it somewhere. So that was really sad when we lost that bag, because that was great. Just a little folding tote bag. So I'd say that also has been good. My top three, not really cycling related specifically, but yeah,
it's still good. It helps. Yeah. All right. So our next topic, the number one lesson we've learned. What do you reckon yours is?
I think probably two things that go together a little bit is that you can probably do a bit more than what you think you can. Every time I'm so tired, or if my legs feel dead, or I don't want to push up the hill, I want to stop and walk, I think just keep going, just make it to the top of the hill, and every time I make it. So I think not selling yourself short. You can do more than you think you can. Just keep going. If there's nothing else more you can do, just keep moving. Don't quit. Just do your best and you'll get there in the end. Not stress. Try not to stress about little stuff. In the big picture, it's not too much of an issue. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. I think for me, my issue is probably my bike. I bought it for £200. Carly bought hers for like 300, and then I bought a rack. I spent £250. Then I had to change my tire and some tubes, so I ended up spending £300. I feel like maybe if I just bought a nicer bike from the get-go, I wouldn't have had these issues, or just done a bit more research. Maybe because we were in a bit of a time scramble, I had to kind of find the nicest thing. Well, I thought it was pretty good at the time, but
it seemed good.
I didn't expect the roads to be so gravelly and potholey, but I probably should have. You kind of got to prepare for the worst, and then if it's better than the worst, and that's great. But yeah, I think if I was to do bike touring again, I definitely would get a gravel bike, 100%. It would make it so much more stress-free.
Yeah.
Not to say that like a good bike won't break. It's just like it's less likely. Because right now, just about halfway left, kind of shitting my bricks maybe towards the end. It might get a bit, broken down, but like that's all part of the journey and part of the fun, I think. I hope it's fun. Might not be fun at the time, but
maybe that's one of Chris's lessons, is to view it as fun instead of stress.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve, if anything. So there's that.
I think also I could probably change the tire now if I had to. If I was on tire as well. A tube. I popped a tube now on my own. I think I could do that too.
That's good. I didn't know that.
Bit of bike maintenance. I could probably clean it just from watching Chris clean the bikes as well. I think I could get the chain cleaner, just rub it, spin it, lube it up.
Yeah,
that's good. A little bit of bike knowledge, but in the most part, I'm in the dark. Like, I have no knowledge. So for me, ignorance is bliss.
I think if we were more in the outback, like Australia, I think both of us would need bike knowledge. Like, it'd be helpful. As long as one person knows how to do it. But like, it would be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice.
We got YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Our last topic is, I know we've only done halfway, but maybe if people were thinking about doing some bike touring, just from our first impression over a month, I'd say a lot of stress comes from the community, or like just traveling, the maps itself. Definitely try to get that sorted. We use Commute, and we filter the path to only road.
Yeah, road cycling.
And which has helped us a lot in terms of, because we have road bikes, it helped us a lot in terms of avoiding the more gravelly roads.
Yeah, if you want to, I'd say there's pros and cons to each. If you set it to bike touring, you're going to get more gravelly roads or more off-roading type. So you definitely would need a gravel bike for that. But if you do the road cycling, you're going to have to be comfortable with riding alongside cars for most of the days.
In saying that though, like on this road bike that I have, we've gone on gravel before and we've gone on grass. It's just something that your bike can take a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, my bike's not the best, but it can also take a lot. So it's just nice to have a better bike and a bike more suited towards what you're doing.
Yeah, what type of style of traveling you want to do. Another thing we'd probably say is pack light. Yeah. We probably were a bit limited because we did a bit of traveling without the bikes before we started the bike tour, so we kind of carrying a bit of extra things. If there's anything you're not 100% that you're going to use, then leave it at home.
Like I think for me, I have like a 1 liter Yeti bottle. Great everyday travel. Like before we even did the cycling, I thought, I could have just left this. Just buy like a plastic bottle from a supermarket and then just refill that.
Yeah, or we've got bike bottles. So that's even a great alternative rather than buying one every day. Just a bike bottle small enough to fit in your backpack or handbag when you're going around traveling without the bike. But then you've got the bike bottle cage to just put the bottle in there and not carry it there either. Yeah,
it's a huge difference. Yeah, so just over halfway.
We've still got probably about the same distance to cover, about 900 kilometers, maybe less because we might book a train here and there, depending on the weather or how our bodies are
how
feeling,
our bikes are.
How our bikes
if
are
they're still
feeling.
Intact, that's probably key thing.
Yeah, we still have quite a couple countries to go through. We still got Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales. We really spent like the majority of our time in England,
like
so we won't be spending too much time in those other places.
We're really looking forward. Well, I'm personally really looking forward to Dublin and
to the Guinness.
The Guinness factory. I'm looking forward to. We haven't really had any beer, which sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
we just had it in Liverpool.
Yeah, we had a few drinks at Liverpool, and then I think we haven't really had a drink in England at all after that.
Not really.
Which is unheard of. So we'll definitely be having beers once we sell the bikes. Our bike money might be going towards
once we're stress free and we can let loose, then
after the pub.
When we started making videos, we just sort of wanted to document it for ourselves, but we're glad that so many people can enjoy these. Hopefully it's making people laugh, because I know that when I go back and edit stuff, I like watching how we interact, and there's probably a bit that we cut out as well, but it's just funny to see, and funny for our own personal, when we look back in the future when we're 50 and we can laugh about how stuff went, and really it'll all seem so insignificant then. So we'll just be glad that we completed it, and thanks for watching. We'll keep posting our stages.
If you have any suggestions or recommendations, if you're from like those other, or even from the UK and Ireland, like let us know, because we're open to everything. Just definitely keep us posted, keep talking to us, because we're lonely, so we need help.
We like it.
We like the comments.
We really like to when people say, "Oh, I live near there and I did this," or like the Liverpool video about people sharing their stories from when they were a kid, or experiences they've had. It's really cool for us to read.
Like we thought originally, it's just about friends and family, but it's obviously gone out to a lot more. So we're so stoked.
Unless we've got 125 family members watching, then
we're stoked to just produce content that people actually enjoy. So thanks for watching our video, and we'll keep you updated. Hopefully our next stage will come out soon. I think it should be stage 20. Peace.